Okay, this is the first Roughnecks podcast that we're doing. We're going to be talking about Destiny today, and it's our Gunsmith edition, our debut Gunsmith edition. So I am joined by BigNoz, our clan Gunsmith.
Hello.
Hello, Noz. How are you?
Not very bad.
Not three bad. Okay. So I've spent today in preparation for this this discussion we're going to have, because you're the expert here, Noz. Putting a list together of every single exotic weapon from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 into a spreadsheet. It took a while, but I think this is the best way to look at it. So our first discussion, rather than going through every single exotic here, is to focus on the forgotten exotics.
Oh, my specialist subject.
Your specialist subject. What do forgotten exotics mean to you, Noz?
Something that was abandoned by the meta, not necessarily a bad gun in and of itself, but something that was abandoned by the meta, or never sort of really hit those heady heights of, being that one glorious weapon that you wanted to equip for whatever high-end activity you were doing.
I mean, the kind of thing, would you say that you got the weapon, you were like, oh great, I got that, I went in the vault or the collections, and you just don't use it?
Yes.
Okay. Something
unless you were grinding your 748 strike for whatever reason, and you thought, I'm truly bored of whatever meta guns I've got, and then you would you'd dip into your vault and have a look what goodies were in there that you haven't used for a long time.
Curios you could use just
different.
Yeah, no worries. Right, we've got a list that we've come up with here, and it's between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, so it will be a trip down memory lane. Okay.
Oh yes.
But before I start, I think it's a good introduction for you, Noz, as the gunsmith, is to maybe give you some figures on weapons. You will, as the gunsmith, obviously know all of this. I'll quiz you as well, so we'll go from there.
Can I just make a point of saying I have absolutely zero, qualification or standing to be called a gunsmith, other than that I'm obsessed with Destiny weapons.
Okay. But we do consult you in the game. That is why you have that. I mean,
we do. Well, yeah.
You could maybe give us some examples of why
can't
you
say
are
I'm not
a gunsmith.
Yeah, I can't say I don't accept it willingly, but just so anybody wants to check my credentials, I have none. Yeah.
So you often get,
a few thousand hours in Destiny.
Is that we're all in the tower and we're going through our vaults, and we've got a particular roll of a weapon, and it's, oh Noz, is this a good roll? Is this a good roll? You tend to keep up to date with what's meta, archetypes work and stuff.
Yeah. Paraphrased from YouTubers, but also my own testing. Well, my own experience. I don't think it's very scientific.
Well, not everybody has the time, I suppose, to go and look at these things. So we're all very grateful that you do this. So I think this is just good to get you in on this discussion, because there are so many exotics that we could talk about. So
yes,
some statistics for you. Would you like to hazard a guess about how many exotic weapons there are? This includes adept weapons that came back in Destiny 1 between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 as of the end of January 2021 when we're recording this. Hazard a guess. I would expect, if you get it dead on here, I think we'll just finish the podcast there and then.
Not a chance.
Do you think it's
I'm going to say, well, that was what I was umming and ahhing about. My first instinct, you should often go with your gut in these situations. My first instinct was going to go for 125-ish.
Do you know what, Noz? I'm just going to stop you right there, because it's 124. You are one away. So you truly are the gunsmith.
Oh,
okay.
Completely off the top of my head as well. Yeah. It won't get better than that.
Won't get better than that. Okay. Well, I'll give you.
I've peaked too early.
I'll give you some facts though. So 40 of the 124, 47 of those exotics are in Destiny 1, and that includes adept weapons, and 77. Yeah, it's 41 were in Destiny 1, that includes adept, and 77 are in Destiny 2. Okay.
Have we actually gone past the point now where Destiny 2 has been out longer than Destiny 1?
I think so, because if we look at the time, Destiny 1 came out in 2014, end of 2014, and Destiny 2 came out in the end of 2017, so it's kind of 3 years.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, we're probably now past that point. Maybe if you include the beta and the alpha, it might be a little bit longer, but I don't know. I haven't got much.
Just to point out, I was there for the alpha. Very, very proud of that.
Yeah, got your emblem. Okay, then.
Yeah.
So
although I was a hunter, which I'm not so proud of.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Anyway, we don't want to insult any. This is a neutral class, podcast. We're not going to insult anyone, any classes on this. Just
I'll try my
weapons.
best. Just yeah.
Okay. So like I said, there's 77 exotic weapons in Destiny 2. Now 48 of that 77 have catalysts for them. So that's 62% of the weapons have catalysts, and 38% of these weapons still don't have catalysts. So, we'll see. Do you want to
be honest, that's a higher percentage than I thought. I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, I'd also like to just say you've done all this prep work. I have done zero, nothing.
You're the talent. You can just show up and go.
Okay,
yeah,
I just show up and nail it in the first take. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, like I say, I've already picked two soon, only one out. With me guess on how many weapons.
Oh,
there
okay.
is, so.
Well, you can. There's two more chances that you can go for here to demonstrate your expertise. So we have a lot of exotics in Destiny 2 that came over from Destiny 1. Do you know how many exotics from Destiny 1 came over roughly? You're thinking through them all now. You're like, Hard Light. We've got the okay.
I will.
No, we don't have a Galahorn yet. just any guess.
I'm going to say we'll be over 20 now, 22, 24-ish.
Not far away at all. You're 20 exotics have come from Destiny 1.
There you go. I'm not doing bad so far.
Not doing bad at all. And I actually have some statistics here about, out of all of the weapons between the two games, what is the most common one. So the way that I've divided the table up is between really the type of weapon rather than energies or frames and things. So it's like hand cannons, autos, sidearms, bows, machine guns, grenade launchers I've just lumped together.
So most common by number or most common by usage?
Most common by number. Like how many, say for example, exotic linear fusions are there, exotic machine guns are there, exotic hand cannons are there. What one do you think is the most common?
Machine guns.
So do you think there's more exotic machine guns in
is this Destiny 1 and 2?
Destiny 1 and 2 together.
I'm gonna go for machine guns then, because we had quite a few in Destiny 1, because I'm gonna count the Abbadon and what the other one was, there's 3 there, then you Nemesis Star and all those good ones, and then in Destiny 2 we've had quite a few, haven't we? Heir Apparent, Xenophage, Thunderlord coming back.
Yeah,
I suppose Thunderlord's only counting as one though, isn't it?
Thunderlord, I have actually divvied these up. I've put Thunderlord, Nova Mortis, and Abbadon or whatever.
Nova Mortis, that's the other one, yeah.
In those, but you pretty much named off all the machine guns. So you think that in essence there's more exotic types of machine guns than we've ever had, say scout rifles or sidearms?
No, actually, I'm changing. I don't know. I'm changing mine. You would think that, I know. I don't know. You'd think maybe there was more primaries. I'm trying to. Surely it's got to be hand cannons then, hasn't it?
You're right, it is. So at top spot, there are 15 different exotic hand cannons between the games. In second place, it is auto rifles at 14 different auto rifles. Pulse rifles come in scout rifles come in third, and pulse rifles are joint fourth with sniper rifles. So there's been 10 different
I was well out with my first guess then, but I suppose when you stop and think about it, no, it become a bit of a meme at one point, didn't it? When we got Thorn and Lomena and what was the other little pew one that we did the mission for? I can never remember the name of it. Malfeasance.
Malfeasance. Yeah. So we'll talk about some of these that'll come up. So I think we'll get into our forgotten exotics. So I've made a list of 14 with some runners up. And the first one I've chosen for you to talk about and give your thoughts on, Nods, I'll weigh in as well if needed, but would be the Fabian Strategy.
I knew you were going to start with that one.
Right, a bit of background.
Mainly because I've seen the list, but yeah, I knew you were going to start with that.
You've had a little peek at it. But this one is from Destiny 1, and it was a Titan exclusive weapon.
Yes.
You were a Titan in Destiny 1. What do you think of
I
it?
was.
Did you use it? Does it?
This is one of those ones, and this is the perfect thing for the perfect forgotten exotic to start with, because as you said, you got it, used it, thought that's nice, put it in your vault, and never thought about it again because that slot was extremely valuable.
Yeah.
I personally, I loved it, and it was one I used to keep on me. But to be fair, the only thing it used to compete with a Zalo Supercell, and I really don't think it can compete with a Zalo Supercell.
No, especially since Azala was also elemental. Back in a time in Destiny 1 when it was different. So that's probably another reason to feed why some exotics end up forgotten is not because they're bad.
Especially in Destiny 1, that was a big thing. If you could get any, as soon as they brought elemental primaries in, that sort of shook the whole meta up, didn't it? When you could have, you could have 3 elemental weapons.
Yeah, it was. But given that if there was no Zao Supercell, was it a decent weapon? How was it perform in PvP? Did you ever use it, or?
To be honest, I never used it that much in PvP. I don't. Someone will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't ever remember it being particularly meta. I remember it got a decent buff at one point, but I thought it was just one of those guns. It was a nice gun, but not particularly good, not particularly bad. Mainly because it did sort of suit the Titan aesthetic, if you want. I remember having the shield on the front and being that hacky.
It reminded me of an Army of Two weapon. I'm not sure if you played it. I had that on it.
I love those games. Yeah, the gun shields on that. Yeah.
And what was its perk again? Did it not used to fire faster?
Yeah, it increased the fire rate when enemies were in close proximity. I think off the top of my head, I'm gonna consult
when you got kills, but it was. I remember it was one of these autos that could.
Oh, was it when you got kills as well?
Fast, extremely fast.
Well, that's its party piece, and any time you can up the fire rate without dropping the damage, then the basic math is you're upping your DPS massively, aren't you? But again, was it really? Never really touched on the meta. Also, being Titan exclusive didn't really help it either. Yeah, but I quite like that. I would love to see him do that in Destiny 2. Have some guns that were exclusive to the classes again.
Do you think Fabian Strategy would fit in with Destiny 2 though? Would you see that one come back, or would you be quite surprised to see it come back?
Unless they were going to bring the class specific ones back again, I don't see the point in bringing it back. Personally, I mean, as much as I did like it.
I think in perhaps Huckleberry maybe replace something like that.
Well, that's the other thing. You've got SMGs in the game now, haven't you? Which you never had in Destiny 1. Something like Huckleberry, Tarabar. Yeah, has replaced that gun. I'm just looking on Destiny Tracker. It had crowd control. OG Rampage. Yeah, which was nice as well.
Back in the day. Well, I think that's all we can. Oh, do you have something else to add about the Fabian?
Yeah, because you were wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What's that?
Kills didn't increase the fire rate. They automatically reloaded a portion of the mag. So you got increased handling stability and fire rate when enemies are close. Kills automatically reload a portion.
See, I should have known that because I was a Titan in Destiny 1 and I did use it a couple of times and I remember. So remind us again. So kills would reload a part of the mag, but what made it fire?
So you've got just proximity.
Okay.
So you had sort of, if you're going to put it in Destiny 2 terms, you had sort of rampage, threat detector, and then obviously the increased fire rate and sort of subsistence all on the same gun, really.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go as well, and the come on now. So this is where I have a brain fart and I completely let the podcast down.
You're just getting
the Suras regime. Kills with this weapon while critically wounded have a chance to start regenerating health. So you've got a little bit of that as well. So really, that's a pretty well-rounded gun weapon when you think about it. Yeah.
Just suffered with range though, didn't it?
Well, same as any auto rifle. It suffers from that being an exotic, and do you really want that to be the exotic that you're going to carry?
Yeah,
especially when things like Galahan and Icebreaker existed.
There. You're absolutely right. I mean, these weapons were so powerful back in Destiny 1. But we'll press on to the next exotic. And I know personally this is one you do not like. But we'll see what comes up. So the next one I'm going to talk about is relatively recent. It's called Tommy's Matchbook. So this came out a couple of seasons ago. The basically Destiny's version of a Tommy gun. What can you tell us about
that? Well, I don't know whether you know this, but it's Destiny's version of a Tommy gun. It's.
I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah. That's another one, right? The perk is it works really well. It's really strong, but again, with my Titan leanings, not really playing on any other characters. Is it really that good for Titans? I know that the catalyst helped. The catalyst was quite good. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm gonna have to go on. I'm gonna have to get Light JJ up here as well, because I don't want to start quoting misinformation.
Well, no, it's okay. I mean, it is more of a discussion about these things. I mean, I remember one of the things of that weapon. It was a bit like the Touch of Malice. Is it was hazardous to use.
Yes.
You would be set on fire, wouldn't you? And you said it was very good if you were a warlock, because it's one of these things you can put.
If you can stand in your rift, yeah. If you Titans struggling for health regen as they do.
You've always said
any not finding that.
It's because you're needing it, and then it doesn't work. It's the same as Ishtar and these things. I remember you saying, to me, you said, Shandy, be very careful of any weapon that takes health off you. Of those kind of things. It's not a good shout, and I don't think I've ever seen it used in the Crucible for that reason.
You know what? I have very rarely one guy, and he killed me with it, and I thought, what in the hell has he just killed me with there? What the hell was that? Because that damage ramp up is fantastic, but you play a dangerous game. I mean, I suppose it's got to have some sort of trade-off, hasn't it? But yeah.
Anyway, again, if it could be improved.
Well, it dances a fine line for me, doesn't it? Do you improve it and then make it completely busted and meta-defining, or does it need help? Is it like say the catalyst helped a lot, meaning that although you didn't get all your shields back, you basically kept your health up indefinitely, but you're sort of right on that knife, you have one decent bit of damage and you're dead, aren't you? But you're pumping out some serious damage.
Do you know what? The way I've always seen it, it's an ad clearing type of weapon.
Absolutely,
put something down, especially when you've got loads of things charging towards you. You can get a Well of Radiance or as you say, it kind of suits the Warlock, and then just go to town with it. I can imagine. I mean, this is a weapon that came out after the nerf to the Lunafaction boots. You can imagine how deadly this thing would have been back in the day.
Oh my god! The good old rally barricade.
Yeah. Well, auto reloading, anything like that. So
see, I typed that in exactly, and it didn't come up with it. Now I've typed in just Matchbook on its own. It's there.
Yeah.
Yes, but also that there, it's a good job. I did look it up. You can't, if you fire it from the hip, you don't get as much damage.
That's right.
I forgot about that. So that's quite
so
good.
You don't do enough damage when you fire from the hip?
No, you don't take as much. You don't take as much damage. I forgot that was a part of it, really. Yeah, you don't. Overheat damage is reduced while not aiming down sights. But actually, saying that, I think it was quite sustainable. But again, I don't want it. Another one where it's fun to use and it's interesting. But what's the point? Because you don't want any weapon that's going to strip your health from you when you're already getting one shot more or less. By Boomer Knights.
So it's not something like that. You wouldn't bring it into like high end PvE if you're doing like Master Nightfalls and things like that. It's just a silly thing. Yeah.
Same with PvP. I mean, like you see how fine the margins are in PvP with resilience for 2 taps and 3 taps with hand cannons and things. Do you really want to help somebody else out just for the off chance that you're going to get, to get a little bit of higher damage on them? I mean, like I say, that guy that was using it. I mean, I don't remember whether he did particularly well, but I did think, Jesus Christ,
Most of his kills would have been lucky.
Yeah. I think that was some amount of damage he hit me with. But then, if you're going to go that route, why not use a sweet business?
Yeah, exactly.
If that's what you want, to do.
And the sweet business is fantastic
business is absolutely fantastic
in PvP for those patient enough to run around.
Yeah, not me. I
think that's probably all we can say in the Tommy's Matchbook, because we do have a few to get through. So we're going to go back down memory lane here and digging deep in the chest of forgotten exotics, and we find ourselves about to talk about a weapon called the First Curse. Do you remember this weapon, Noz?
Yes, and on the very first episode, you've already mentioned the gun that one of the only exotic weapons I've never had. I think it is the only exotic weapon I've never had in Destiny 1.
So you never had a shot with this thing. Did you see many people use it? Do you remember the quest to obtain it?
No. I think I completely put it to. I think it was something obscene. Was it PvP related?
It was to do with the gunsmith, funnily or not, and I think it was one of the quests you got from him from ranking him up. You got the you got access to this quest, which would result in the.
I always had the quest. But I never ever completed it. There was some step that will have got me stuck.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I've got the screen up here, so it goes on about its perks. The exotic perk on it was something called the First Curse. First precision kill of the magazine refills it, granting bonuses to range and stability until the player reloads. Now, that's actually really good. You could imagine that in Destiny 2 actually probably being quite a decent weapon, you know?
Bonus to range, stability, and movements, but See that again? See what archetype was that in? Fire at 15, so it was like a high impact. You know, if you just pick that gun up and put it directly into Destiny 2, now it would probably be an absolute monster, given the current 120 hand cannon meta. Again, I think I can't really give an opinion either way because I never ever got it. Have you got the quest step details?
I don't know. It was a quest step. Apparently, it was called Imprecation. If I'm saying that right, acquired by quest imprecation, and I'm not. So it says down here, obtained from the gunsmith upon reaching rank 5 while playing as any class. So you used to level the gunsmith up.
Yeah, like I say, I had the quest. I definitely had the quest, but it never got completed. So I don't know whether it. See, I didn't play a lot of PvP in D1, so
that's a poison you've reserved for D2.
Yes, Even then, I don't play comp, don't play trials,
Okay. Well, it is a very mysterious one. I mean, I had it. I never used it. It was a classic case.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I did. I got it, but I never ever used it because I wasn't PvP. I'm not a hand cannon guy. I mean, I don't like them. No. They just don't suit me a lot of the time. So I put it in the vault, and I never seen anyone else use it. I didn't even see a video about it.
I've never seen anybody use it. There was definitely something to do with the quest why I didn't get it. I'm trying to find the quest steps here because I really want to know.
Could have been glitched. You never know. So the next exotic, and we can come back to the First Curse. When you learn what happened there. What have you found out?
Sorry, mate. I think so. Hang on.
It's going
bloody hell. Planet Destiny. I've not been on there for a while.
I remember when they used to do a podcast.
Yes, it used to be the only gun reviews, and it used to be the only Destiny videos I ever watched.
That's going back a while.
Quest, right? Hang on. I realise we're dragging ass here, but
no, it's okay. I'm just looking through the rest of my list, but I cannot think of a time when I used the First Curse. Again, I'm the kind of player that I am. I'm a completionist.
Yeah.
Things is I do like to get things and see my collections and go, oh, it's there. Good, I've done that.
Usually, I'd say that me too, but like I say, I really need to know because I cannot, for the life of me, remember why I never finished this. So step 1. Hand cannon kills with a primary or hand cannon telemetry active. Bloody hell, telemetry, do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember. I'm going to put them on for the test weapons.
Step 2, speak to Banshee. Waiting on Tex. Wait for Tex Machina's next arms day delivery.
That's right. It's a Tex Machina weapon.
Speak to Banshee, weapon skills. Infuse right. Did they change this quest?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I cannot remember. I can't remember. I don't remember any big thing about it being glitched, though. In fairness,
No.
maybe
I think it was. I really don't
think
it was glitched, but
I think in the case it could have been with Noz. This weapon just wasn't worth your time.
Right. I think they changed this. I'm sure they must have changed this or something, because the step here, and I remember it now. 7 precision kills in the Crucible. So it says rapidly kill 7 enemies in PvE. Get 7 precision kills in the Crucible. I'm sure that had to be in 1 life originally.
I think it was farmable, though. You could do it through going into a death match and killing your pal, which is, I think, how we got the swords and all that kind of thing, and the chaperone.
Excuse you, I never did that.
You never done that dirty grinding.
No, I had more honour than that.
Well, with you now getting closure over the first curse of sorts.
Yes. Apologies.
No, it's okay. But why don't we move on to another couple of late Destiny 1 exotics that came out at the same time? And they're 2 weapons, but I'm going to treat this as one entry. Is talking about the Nova Mortis and the Abbadon. That's probably
to use the Sunday names, the Void Lord and the Solar Lord.
Void Lord and the Solar Lord. Okay.
Again, I'm letting myself down badly because every time we mention a gun, I have to look it up to see what it did. Because I'm sure it was just more than that. It was more than it didn't. They didn't have the same, although they were the same style, but Void and Solar. I'm sure they had different perks to what the.
I can't say I remember anything because these, like I said, these came out late in Destiny 1's life, and they were just the different elements on the Thunderlord. Now the
they've been rumored for, still is fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
To this day,
they've been rumored for years, haven't they? Everybody talked to in the files, the data mined.
There was old
Void Lord and a Solar Lord.
Original old footage on the Cosmodrome, and somebody was using basically a Thunderlord that was on fire, and that's what started it all. And then these 2 weapons came out. A pretty easy reskin for Bungie.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is,
Bungie
reskins is that they came out so late. This is a kind of a problem, is that they never got their time to shine, so to speak.
Yeah.
We got a lot more flexibility in Destiny 2. I think sometimes, especially in the first year, we could change elements
it's not working
on that, but
not working.
We'll just have to rely on good old memory with these. So, anything else you want to say about these couple of fantastic but not that well used machine guns?
Yeah, I want to say a lot about them, but I can't remember what they do. This Destiny tracker thing's letting me down badly. Come on.
Did you? Well, the main thing you thought they'd done something different from the.
I'm sure they did something. It wasn't the same as just the Thunderlord obviously generates lightning strikes, doesn't it? And it ramps the fire rate up.
Right.
I'm sure it did. It did more. They did something different to that. Sorry, I'm sure there's something to do.
So the Nova Mortis, I've just got the perk up. I've just been looking at the Destiny game wiki. Exotic perks. It just says negative rounds. This weapon fires faster and more accurately the longer the trigger is held, which is exactly what.
All right. Well, that's the same. Yeah.
The one used to. It had the perks were it had feeding frenzy on it.
Yeah.
And it had
I've got it up now.
Selectable. Okay, fill us in.
Yeah. Exotic perks in Incendiary. Yeah, well, maybe I'm wrong. Apparently I am wrong. Because at least for the Abbadon anyway, which was a Solar Lord.
Yeah.
It's, feeding frenzy, as you say. Incendiary rounds, weapons fires faster and more accurately the longer the trigger's held. Was that actually... Did the Thunderlord do the lightning strikes in Destiny 1?
Yes, it was.
Or did it just have the same thing?
No, it done the lightning strikes. It was a hidden perk, I think, on it. It used to do.
Right. Okay.
It used to
selectable perk. Selectable perk. Yeah, it just says for the exotic perks, intrinsic perk. Yeah. So, wow, no wonder that died on its ass, and it might as well have been a bloody legendary.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Nova Mortis, even though probably.
I remember
just going to be exactly the same thing, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure they came out. I think it was not Rise of Iron, but afterwards. I think it was when they done Age of Triumph.
Was it late as that?
It was obtained as a reward from completing Songs of Void, a quest added by the Dawning seasonal event. So it's probably they came out with the Dawning thing.
No wonder they were crap then. Have we ever had anything good from the Dawning?
You don't like the Dawning? No, that's fair enough. Well, anyway, boring. The boring Dawning. I've got another weapon for you.
Yes.
To muse upon.
I don't feel like I've been very insightful yet, especially about those last two.
Well, don't you worry. I know you're just being modest. You're saving it for the rest, and we do have a few more here. So the two-tailed fox, rocket launcher, Destiny 2 came out with Forsaken.
Could have been so much more.
Could have been so much more. What do you think of it? When did you get it, and what have you used it? How could it be better?
Do you know what? That used to be, probably before they brought the truth back, that used to be one of my go-to Gambit invading weapons.
I remember
just due to the heavy tracking and
it
was
things. A Gambit weapon, and it was good because you could kill the Primeval envoys. It was Void. It's Void and Solar, isn't it?
Yeah. So his Solar, the Void suppresses them, from what I can remember. And the Solar obviously did the damage. Did it leave like a
damage over time? I think.
Yeah, like a Dragon's Breath style.
I don't think it done Dragon's Breath. No, it didn't leave like a puddle of napalm or something. But it was it done the.
Did it put a burn on them or something?
Put a burn on them. Yeah, and that was it. So this is a weapon that's often, a lot of people do say it's just been completely left behind. It's now not only been, it's not had a catalyst to improve it.
It's been superseded massively, hasn't it? First by Truth,
now by then by Raid Rocket Launcher.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least the two-tailed fox was easier to obtain.
Was it a random drop originally, or
a random drop from Forsaken? I remember getting it through that. So, I'd love.
You really should be wearing your two-tailed fox T-shirt for this, Shandy.
I should be. I actually, it's I've worn the two-tailed fox T-shirt more times than I've equipped the two-tailed fox.
The actual gun, yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
Which says a lot, considering that you got bright pink.
It's a good example of this is a forgotten exotic because it has been superseded by other things and never quite lived up.
Yeah, well, it's inevitable. The more exotics you get, you can't have them all being extremely unique and having their own USP, can you? But
okay,
it's a shame because it was a good premise and it was pretty good. You could, at one point when rocket launchers were strong, you could get some really good damage out of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait and see because rocket launchers are getting their buff, aren't they?
So, needs a catalyst.
What do you think the catalyst should do, Noz? Some people have said it should add a third rocket.
Yeah. Well, that's one option. I was going to say, I can't remember. I don't think it did this anyway. But does the Void rocket apply a debuff, or is it just suppress them?
It's just suppress.
See, stick a tractor cannon style debuff on the Void rocket.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, I think that'd make it brilliant. Again, you run the risk of pushing it too far up, don't you? But how often do you get a weapon that debuffs and attacks at the same time? I'm not saying it should last even as long as the tractor cannon. Make it 5 seconds, 7 seconds. Something like that, but if you're getting that bit of damage over time, and then if you're applying a debuff, it gives you the room for a bit of strategy, doesn't it? Somebody can either do something, apply some more damage, or but you're also getting additional damage from the solar rocket.
Yeah, over time. That is a good idea. I've not heard that one mooted because it does come up in discussions. But okay, well, two-tailed fox. There you go. We're going to go back to Destiny 1 with the next one. This is another weapon. It's I think this came out with the Taken King, and it was kinetic weapon, and it's the Boolean Gemini.
Ooh.
Do you remember the Boolean Gemini?
Yes, the Boolean Gemini. Was that the scout rifle?
Yes. Do you remember what it done, Noz, specifically?
It did. It had two separate. I can't remember specifically what they are, but one thing for body shots and one thing for headshots, didn't it? Was it something like that?
That's right. So the body shots, as far as I can see, gave you an armor bonus, but
There you go.
headshots gave you a mobility bonus.
Yeah. I think, do you know what? I think I don't think I ever noticed the benefit of that specifically as an exotic, other than it was a very, very good scout rifle.
All right. So,
you know, that usual, I used to use it a lot. I like scout rifles in PvP. I used to use it, but mainly because it was a good, you know, I mean, but then again, you've got Mida and Jade Rabbit are a thing. But I just remember it having like good aim assist, good handling, like just being a good scout
and it
rifle.
Sounded cool.
It did.
I love that
I think,
kind of that
the most important
beat.
thing for the most important thing for any Destiny exotic, it has to sound good. You know, that's a bugbear of mine when, you know, Ariana's Vow. I never use that gun purely because I can't stand the way it sounds. It sounds so weak for a supposedly exotic, super powerful
Special
hand cannon.
Yeah. But the Boolean Gemini.
Getting off topic, but the Boolean Gemini.
Did you see many people use it? Was it meta?
Never.
No.
Well, scout rifles have been through their own vogues, haven't they? Several times, you know, but I don't think I've ever seen that gun being talked about as you must use this gun. This is the best gun in the Crucible.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Why would you use it in PvE? Why would you waste an exotic slot for a gun that all it does is buff your armor and buff your mobility? What?
Yeah, and it's also counterintuitive. If you want most people would want a buffed armor thing in these things. Is you're actually penalized for headshots, so you have to deliberately aim for the body, which is kind of strange. And I think
Jade Rabbit suffers from the same thing.
Yeah, that you have
especially for a scout as well. That's one thing I said for ages, that you know, people are talking about they need a scout rifle buff again at the minute. They need to up the body shot damage of them.
Yeah.
Because the crit multipliers. Yeah, exactly. You know, you're not necessarily altering the time to kill. You're altering the forgiveness of it,
forgiveness factor of it. But there you go. I think just like the Fabian strategy, because it wasn't, it didn't have a kind of an elemental burn on it. In Destiny 1, there just wasn't room for that kind of thing. There was better things to put your slot in, so it's consigned to history that way. I can't see this weapon coming back. In any form or another, it's one of these glorified legendaries, you know.
Yeah, that's it. There's exotics, isn't there? There's exotics that are super god tier. You know, your legend. It
totally change how you play.
Your mythical, your mythical weapons that completely define the game for certain periods of time until they get nerfed or other things get buffed, and then you've got those ones that are barely an exotic, where it's a glorified legendary. You know, they could have another tier in there, couldn't they? Really, somewhere in between a legendary and an
exotic, just to confuse things more.
An exotic. Well, yeah.
Some
at what point are you just fannying around with it?
Well, we're gonna. You speaking about this weapon is very much one of these glorified legendaries. It's between a legendary and exotic. The next weapon I'm going to mention actually is really quite unique. People say, you know, exotic weapons, they should change how you play and be completely distinct. So the next weapon I'm going to talk about is Destiny 2, and it's the Skyburners Oath.
Another scout rifle.
It's another scout rifle, but what do you think of this weapon? Remember, there was a version of it we had when launched, and then it was massively altered. It was buffed.
Yeah.
But we still don't see it. So what's the story with the Skyburners, Noz?
Good question. It should be brilliant. In PvE,
it has a catalyst.
It is good. Yeah. The catalyst. What did the catalyst do?
I think it increases its stability. I think its stability or something like that range. I'd have to just go quickly have a look. But I remember it's got an exotic perk. I mean, it's a Cabal weapon. It's a Cabal themed weapon, and it's also does additional damage to Cabal, and it fires a different way, doesn't it? So if you aim down sights, it's more of a traditional scout.
If you aimed, it's like a traditional 150 RPM scout. Didn't it have a problem where it wasn't hit scan? Where even when you aimed down sight, it wasn't hit scan. So it was before the buff. I'm sure I remember something about that.
I can't remember.
Before they buffed it, when you aim down sight, the projectiles, even though it was a normal scout rifle bullet, it wasn't hit. Still wasn't hit scan
to go. Well, that
so I had a travel time
anyway.
and that, especially for a scout rifle. Yeah, I might be wrong. Someone might correct me, but I'm sure I remember hearing about that. But after the buffed it was great. I mean, what did it change? I know it obviously
made it micro
missiles.
Micro missiles is what it gave. So people used it as these AC-130 builds. So they jump in the air and you just hip fire it, and it would rain down these little missiles.
So it was just before that. It was just a fire rate difference, wasn't it? The original iteration of it was faster firing from the hip, and then you aim down sight, and it was slower and more powerful.
Yes, exactly. That's it.
There we go. Right, but yeah. Well, so after I think it's great, and it, like you say, against Cabal enemies, it's good, and it's one of those weapons. It should be good, but it just isn't.
Yeah.
Again, it's a case of the PvP driving the meta for the whole game, isn't it?
It is, and then these things get left behind. I just want to say I was incorrect earlier. The Catalyst actually increases the range by 27, and Masterworks it. The Catalyst is hard to get. It's one of these ones that dropped in the Leviathan raid randomly from encounters.
Yes, I think that's the only one I haven't got from that. To be fair,
the Catalyst for it. I know,
but additional range is a good thing. As we all know, range does funny things in Destiny. It's not just how far before you get damage fall off, is it? It affects your aim stickiness at range. Again, another reason it should be good, but
do you know what I think it was built for? I think, and there's another perk here that says, it's full auto, does extra damage to Cabal, and it penetrates phalanx shields. I think this was a weapon that was very much built and themed around the whole Red War campaign. It would have been, I used it when I soloed the campaign on an additional character for that extra damage against Cabal, but I never used it in the raid. I tried using it in Gambit after it was buffed, and it wasn't good. I just don't know, couldn't get to grips with it.
It's very similar to the Symmetry now, then, isn't it? Just thinking about it, because I've not used the Skyburners for ages, but Symmetry does a similar trick, doesn't it, with attracting projectiles, but it just does it better.
Yeah, and you have perfectly lined that up and segued into our next exotic, which is another Destiny 2. It's another scout rifle, and it is the Symmetry.
Hey, we're getting slick now.
We're getting slick at this, exactly. So the Symmetry is another, just a bit of background on it. It comes out on the season pass, similar to what Tommy's Matchbook. It came out, and then the Catalyst also came out at the same time. And I like to think of this as the weapon that fired a pulse grenade. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I do. What did you think of the Symmetry? Because I thought it was really decent.
I think it's brilliant. I love that archetype. That archetype scout rifles. Yeah. Randy's throw knife, one of my all-time favorite Destiny legendaries. I love that rapid, mainly because I'm too lazy just to keep pulling the trigger. But Symmetry, again, it's good, but it's situational. Do you really want to stuff with it? When there's an arc burn on, if you're not. But then, if there's arc burn on, you're going to use Anarchy, aren't you? Again, it's that only having one exotic weapon on. Yeah.
The problem with Destiny 2 is the energy slot, which the Symmetry sits in, is very, very
highly contested.
Highly contested slot, and especially more now than ever, we got things like Cloud Strike, and you've got Anarchy and stuff that you'd want in there. It can be seen as a bit of a waste. This also
I still use it.
So you still use the Symmetry at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. Yeah. It's not a forgotten exotic in your world, but do you see why it's made this list? Do you see it?
Oh, 100%. I've never seen anybody use it. Mm-hmm. When it's more so now, this season's probably the most it's seen since it came out, because the buffed scout rifles a little bit, didn't I? I can't remember specifically what they did. But those rapid fire scout rifles are better now than they were ever. Looking at you, Trustee. But that's, if you haven't got a Trustee, the Symmetry is great, and especially that extra damage is fantastic. It's
in the Crucible as well.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
it seems to be harder to build the stack. Sorry, it seems to be harder to build the stacks than something like, if they gave it the same. So if it built stacks as quickly as the No Time to Explain does, it'd be top tier in my opinion, because because the secondary fire, I can't remember what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Those rounds are really powerful. It's great, especially when they're fully charged. Yeah.
And you fire like a slower fire rate, isn't it? And then they leave like a kind of pulse grenades type thing in an area. Yeah. I remember. Do you know what, Noz? I think you have recommended it to me, and I have used it in Crucible, and it's very good. But I ended up getting the Raid Scout, and I don't think I've used it.
Oh, Trustee blows it out of the water.
Yeah, so good. Anything else you'd like to say about the Symmetry? Do you think it's in a good spot? Just
looks cool. Again, just make the stacks build up a bit quicker, or adjust the ratio of the less stacks, but for the same damage. Because if you give it any more damage than what it's got now, again, you run the risk of putting it out of wind with primary weapon damage, and the damage, like you say, once you get to that top stack. That those top stacks. Didn't the catalyst buff the amount of stacks as well that you could get? Yeah,
it did. That's what the catalyst did. Yeah. And obviously Masterwork did, but yes, we'll see. So you never know. You might start a meta here. People will be like, actually, this is great.
All three people that will listen to this podcast might actually use a Symmetry.
Two of them are us.
So two of them are us, yeah.
Two of them are us. So let's go back to Destiny 1 with a weapon that is so irrelevant now in if we look at it through a contemporary lens, is of course the Universal Remote. Do you remember this weapon?
Yes, it was the absolute plague of Crucible in Destiny 1 at one point, I remember. And I could never ever figure out how to use it. I love shotguns. Shotguns are my go-to weapons in Crucible, and I could never figure out how to use that gun properly. Never.
So what made it kind of special? Was it because it was in?
It was a primary shotgun. Well, that was one thing.
Have
yeah. Also, see also No Land Beyond. But that being in the primary slot, which was obviously very powerful thing, and it's a given thing in Destiny 2 now. It's something we take for granted. You can have 3 shotguns on, you can have 3 snipers, that's just a given thing. But in Destiny 1 that was never a thing. So the fact that you could put, if you were feeling particularly cheeky, equip 2 shotguns and go to town was obviously a big plus. But also that you could, I think they did nerf it. I'm sure they reined it in. They give it a pretty harsh
nerf at someone that killed it dead. Yeah, no, I didn't remember that happening.
But you used to aim down sights, and you'd basically get that
range.
Did it turn it into a single slug, or was it just a tightened, really like overly tightened pellet spread? That like a la shot package that we.
I don't remember it having like anything where.
That might be why I could never use it. If it turned it into Chaperone, Shandy Chaperone.
No, was it? Let me just have a look. Oh, of course there was the Chaperone. I forget that was in Destiny 1. So the exotic perk, it just says Universal Remote, which was range and precision damage increased greatly when aiming down sights.
There you go. Well, so it doesn't end, but I do remember honestly getting sniped with that thing from sort of worse than Fellwinter's life. Fellwinter would be quaking in his boots for pre-nerf Universal Remote. I remember it being obnoxious in the Crucible at one point, especially like say with the double shotguns.
So this is a good example of a forgotten weapon that was actually very good, that suddenly had its wings clipped and has been left behind in an old game that we will now never see because, like you say, you think nothing of having a primary shotgun.
Yeah, you've took away 50% of its power, and also they've put more or less the same gun in with this season, like exotic, the duality. It does the same trick.
Yes,
well, similar trick. Yeah. Pellet shotgun from the hip and then aim down sight, and it's a slug shotgun. But Universal Remote. Although like I say, I could never get the hang of it. I do remember it being obnoxious at one point.
I personally never used it. I think I messed around with it in PvE or something, but no, it was another one that just went in the vault. But I do remember folk using it. I will finish the subject of this by reading out the description for the weapon. And the description for it says, to the untrained eye, this beast is a junker. To the trained eye, however, this junker is a beast. which I thought was very apt for it. So
yeah. Obviously my eyes weren't trained enough. I could never get the hang of it. I don't know why. Just could never get the hang of it. Yeah.
But we'll speed on and talk about some of the other ones that we've got here. So we've got the Zen Meteor, another late Destiny 1 exotic.
Yes.
Do you remember getting this and using it?
Yeah. I don't remember. Was it a random drop? Was it Quest Associated? Might have been Quest Associated, was it?
I think it came out with the Taken Spring, and I'm trying to remember now. And yes, it was Taken Spring, and I can't remember if this particular weapon was from a quest or not. How to obtain? No, it was just a random drop.
Yeah, I think most things were in Destiny 1, weren't they?
Yeah.
I actually loved that gun, to be honest.
With a laser beam. That's what the exotic perk was called. So yeah, tell us about it.
From what I remember, was it just on headshot, or did you have to build stacks? And you got was it on it? Basically, you got like a really overly big firefly type explosion, I think.
That's right. So it doesn't make it clear. I mean, exotic perks has said the extra round from dynamite causes a massive explosion. So I think you built dynamite.
Right, so
rapid kills with every round in the clip.
There you go.
An extra high damage round for 5 seconds.
Yeah, situational then, isn't it? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Icebreaker used to make people explode when you killed them as well?
Yeah, it had Firefly.
Yeah. So, again, how often is that going to be useful? You're using up an exotic slot for something where you're not going to... The best exotics, in my opinion, are ones where you can use the perk all the time.
Yeah.
You know, Galahorn, every time you fire it, you're making use of the perk.
Wolfpack.
You know, and getting the massive damage out of it. You can use it in different ways, you know, for Crucible for tracking multiple enemies or for big damage. But again, what's the mag size? How many kills did you have to actually get to load that? Obviously, that's a Queen reference as well, isn't it? In the dynamite and then dynamite with a laser beam.
Yeah, it's it was the magazine size was 3, so it had a small magazine. Yeah,
it's not so it's high. You know, the high impact one. I remember it doing. It's one of those ones where you use it because it's fun, not because it's good.
Yeah, and it was immense satisfaction.
It felt, very satisfying. Yeah, the big explosion and things like that. And I remember it sounding really good as well.
It's a cool weapon, but it was one of these free little weapons. I mean, with the Taken Spring, I think it was the only exotic that came out. It was just kind of put in there as a reskin of the Hacky Sniper Rifles.
Yes, which was also the Hunter specific legendary as well. When those were a thing. To be fair, that's the only specific legendary I can remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember.
Out of those, that collection of weapons.
Yeah. It's crazy to think how many weapons we've had over the years. So the Zen Meteor, there you go. So it's another Destiny 1 weapon. Okay. It was one of the very first sidearms we got in the game. And it had tracking rounds. And that, of course, is the Dregs Promise. Now, this was a weapon that was actually... People used to laugh at this weapon and deride it.
Did I have that?
I
think I got it eventually.
It was from Prison of Elders. It was pretty hard.
Right, there you go. Yeah. I don't think I ever had it. For most of the time in the game, I had the Queenbreaker's bow, and what was the other one? Wasn't there 3 weapons in that sort of...
The Lord of Wolves.
Lord of Wolves, of course. So I had those 2, which obviously they're the best ones, the good ones. And then
Dregs Promise.
Dregs Promise. I don't think I ever got it, and I think the fact that I had the other 2, and that was crap, for want of a better word. Didn't it get buffed towards the end of the game?
It was, because sidearms were particularly a meta towards the end and the last year of Destiny 1, that the Dregs Promise actually had a time to shine. It had tracking rounds. It wasn't a hit scan weapon, but it did have these tracking rounds, and I used to use it in Crucible. And I think it was quite useful.
Only you.
I like to use some
only you would use in Crucible.
I like sidearms. I'm quite a big fan.
I like sidearms. But
the
very
reason
good.
why it's
Underrated.
They are underrated, especially now. But the reason why it makes this list, Noz, is just for the reasons you said. There were 2 other weapons that came out at the same time with it through the Prison of Elders thing that were so much better.
Lord of Wolves still now is a menace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord of Wolves. But
bloody hell. Dregs Promise. Yeah.
It's the only one out of that trinity of Prison of Elders weapons that hasn't come back into Destiny 2.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think now what weapons do the same trick as that. You know, obviously you've got Symmetry with those browns. Skyburners Oath does a similar thing. I'm sure there's something else I'm forgetting that does something.
Actually, little tracking bullets that the Dregs Promise used to have, and I can't remember if there's any Destiny weapons that have tracking bullets that aren't rocket launchers.
No.
But it's cool. I mean, there's been a big demand for people to get more fallen and enemy weapons into the game, and the Dregs Promise was actually cool for that reason.
Yeah. Again, it's another one where you would use it because it's cool, but does it have a place in the meta?
No, it was rubbish.
No, not really.
PvE, PvP is where I only seen it. But there's another weapon we're going to talk about now, and this is Destiny 1. It's a sniper rifle, and it's called Hereafter. Do you remember this weapon? Because sometimes I have to jog everyone's memory for what the Hereafter is.
See, this is another one where I think I actually like this gun, and very controversially, everybody else seems to think it was pretty crap. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that the one where it was sort of in the flavor text? It was something about it being cobbled together from old farming equipment, or something like that.
Yes, it's.
But then when you hit a headshot, it had like a blinding aura, didn't it? Didn't it give off basically like a flashbang, like when you hit a headshot with it?
Precision kills with this weapon cause a bright flash that can blind nearby enemies. And you're absolutely right about the description. Well remembered. It says the description is: huddled at the mountain's base, we had no choice but to beat our plowshares into swords once more.
There you go. Something like that. It was. I love that gun. That was one of the. Again, was it meta defining? No. Was it good? Yeah. If you wanted something fun to use, you definitely would stick that on, because it's similar to the Cloud. It's similar to the Cloud Strike now, in that the Cloud Strike, there's other snipers, the Adored for one, and the new Raid Sniper is also very good, that will beat that in a 50, in a straight up gunfight 8 times out of 10. But that one or two times a game where you'll catch somebody with that Cloud Strike blast, it just makes it worthwhile. It's so fun. But I would put Hereafter in the same category as that one or two times a game where you'll catch people with that blinding blast, and then you can go on a bit of a tear with it. I also remember having very good aim assist actually as well.
Yeah, well, that
was quite forgiving to use.
Drags up sniper rifles. I mean, I think something like this in trials would have been amazing.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
If people were all bunched together, you pop somebody and then they're all blinded and then you rush them, But the thing is, Noz, I never remember anyone using it. I never got killed.
No, I don't.
No. I think I stuck it on for the old Arcburn Nightfall when I wasn't using Patience and Time, which was the other, which is along with the Ice Breaker, that was another big
Patience and Time. That was my favourite sniper in that game. You can keep your Icebreaker.
It looked cool as well. But no,
I think that was one of the first. Sorry to segue, but I think Patience and Time was the first exotic that I got. Yeah. I missed Sir Ross the first time round with when Zer sold it, and Galahorn, because I didn't have enough materials or anything. If you remember, I was the last holdout. I was the last person in our clan to make a second character. I was like, nope, one character, that's all I need. Yeah, don't need another one. And look at me now. Yeah. Well, I'll still do the same thing. I'm very begrudging. It was only for extra boss runs and the raids where I ever used my other two characters.
Yeah, well, we're running out of time, sadly. So we've only got one more exotic that we're going to talk about. And this is the Worldline Zero. So this is a sword. Do you remember? Wow. Right, I'm not even going to say any more about it. You tell me about it as well. What can you remember about the Worldline Zero and why it's on this list?
Should we start with the memes? The nerfed it when they changed the way swords handled, didn't they? The very tiny speedrun community of this game was up in arms, weren't they? Because that was the whole thing. They used to use Worldline Zero, and I think that was the most useful that weapon has ever been.
For speed
which should tell you a lot.
How come?
Yeah. For the teleporting, I don't know. I don't do that. Those speedrun guys are crazy. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to do with that. I would put me and you firmly in the category of Destiny dads.
Yeah, I suppose. Even though we're not dads, but I know what you mean. We're not those kind of sweaty hardcore. So this was
firmly in that category.
A bit of thing about this. So this came out with the Warmind expansion. So the second expansion of Destiny 2, or not the one where we got Mars, and it was a drop, and it was our first exotic sword of the game. And Destiny 2.
Was that right? Well, of course, yeah.
And it got a catalyst as well that was incredibly difficult to get. The catalyst was you had to get hit.
I never finished that.
Yeah, and I remember some of our guys trying to get it, and it was the escalation protocol. You had to get hit on every single different boss. But its exotic perk was a bit lackluster. It had something called Tesseract, which was I can't bring the weapon up here, but all it was the R2 attack. You could get to it quicker to proc that attack or something like that. But to me, it's a legendary sword.
Well, it had the teleport, didn't it? That was what it did. That was its actual exotic perk. The R2 strike would make you teleport forward, and it was supposed to do more damage, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you build up stat? Did you build? Right, I'm gonna have to look it up because we're doing it. Although it is a forgotten gun, we're doing a disservice to this gun, weapon.
I've got it up on the screen here. Tesseract. Press heavy attack while sprinting to launch a heavy blink attack. You're absolutely right. It was teleported. And it's because I never used it that often. I didn't even realize that happened.
Well, there you go, yeah.
So,
Worldline Zero. See, now what did the catalyst do?
Has Assassin's Blade on it.
Tireless Blade, yeah. Modified catalyst. Come on.
Looked cool.
Oh, no.
And it was one to chase with the catalyst. The catalyst reduces the activation time of Tesseract. That's all it does.
Oh, there you go. Well, again, it never did particularly big amount of damage, and also it's not doesn't fit in that where swords are at the minute. They're like a sustained high DPS weapon, aren't they? So you look at your falling guillotine and your lament, and there's like sustained DPS, aren't they? You stand there swinging away at the bosses and just melting things. But that
the lament is the last word with damage now, isn't it? It's insane.
Yeah. And I don't think this latest sword buff's going to rein him in much either. But again, I don't really want them to because I enjoy swords and I always have. But it's cool, really, really cool. And the first exotic sword, it was very exciting to get. Oh, look at this arc dash attack you can do. That's so cool. But then you hit him once, and it might have even done good damage. But then what is it after that?
I know. Perhaps it's the forgotten exotic because it just wasn't in the game at the right time. Sometimes with metas and things like that, the way things were. But now there are so many more better things to use. But that's all we have time for, folks.
Wow, that was quick.
Did you enjoy that? And also have a trip down memory lane, looking at some other things. But next time we discuss these things, we're going to have a look at some other exotics, maybe group them together, some of the best ones, some of the ones that are actually really bad exotics that could do a rework, some that need catalysts, loads of things to talk about. So there we go. Mm-hmm. Right, well, Noz, thank you very much for your expertise.
I don't know how expert my expertise are, but you're very welcome. I'll sit and gas about Destiny weapons all day if you want me to. That's fine.
Well, that's it. I do want you to, so we will do it again. Right.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. See you later.
No problem. See you.